You're watching the semifinals of the NCAA FCS Championship presented by Northwestern Mutual. A full house inside the Fargo Dome. Close to 19,000. Very few empty seats. People were tailgating in this cold, blustery weather outside since about 1 o'clock this afternoon. They are ready to go. The Bison come in with one loss on the year. Their only loss came to South Dakota State back on November 4th. They're 12-1 on the year. Meanwhile, Sam Houston State, 12-1. Their only loss in Week 4 to Central Arkansas. They've won 9 consecutive games, and we are ready for some football. Bearcats won the toss. They want the football, and why not? Nathan Stewart hit just as he crosses the 10-yard line, and the Bearcats will be backed up. They'll spot it at the 12, a 7-yard return. So Jeremiah Briscoe, the senior out of Houston, Texas, that actually started his career at UAB. Man, he has got unbelievable numbers on the year. I mean, crazy numbers.
And he just continues to pile them up, building on last year's Walter Payton award-winning season. And yet again this year, the focal point of this offense, the #1 scoring offense, the #1 passing offense, and all the FCS hinges on the play of quarterback Jeremiah Briscoe. And
they're going to have to deal with his noise. It is already loud on first down. Briscoe going up top, slinging it to the far side of the field. Pass is caught at the 40. That one goes to Nathan Stewart, and the Bearcats will have it. They'll spot it back at the 41-yard line. That'll be a 29-yard pickup.
Well, you talk about explosive plays. And the Bearcats have this plenty in their offense. They're going to challenge your defense downfield, and already North Dakota State giving up a big play, the one thing they wanted to avoid defensively.
They'll go handoff to Corey Avery. He'll get a couple of yards on the play. Their middle linebacker, Nick DeLuca, who we will call his name perhaps a lot tonight. First team all-conference, the heart and soul of this guy, quiet leader.
Well, DeLuca is a guy who's going to be very active. They want to shut down the run and force the Bearcats to keep the ball on the ground in their RPO game.
Briscoe to throw. There's a flag. They were looking for Nathan Stewart, and it looked like he was being held right as he crossed the 40-yard line by Jalen Allison.
And Jalen Allison is thought to be the best man cover guy on the North Dakota State defense.
Defense, number 21.
So that'll put the football across midfield at the North Dakota State 42-yard line.
Already you can see what the idea is here from Tim Cramsey, the offensive coordinator. Challenge the Bison defense and try to stretch them vertically in the secondary.
On first down, a bullet, incomplete, looking for Tyler Scott. Give us an opportunity to take a look at how these teams plan for success, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Well, there you saw Jabril Cox on the pass breakup, and you know the difficulty that they're going to have all game long is if North Dakota State continues to keep the receivers in front of them, can they get runs after the catch in the Bearcat receivers? The other piece of it is, can you control the box with just 6 defenders if you're the Bison?
Stewart makes the reception for Nathan Stewart. He came in with 67 grabs. First team All-Southland. Was the 2016 Southland Conference Freshman of the Year. He has had a marvelous season. All these receivers, Lewis, Davis, and Stewart, all big-time players.
Well, one of the things that Matt Entz talked about, defensive coordinator for North Dakota State, was adjusting to the tempo. So far, the Bearcats haven't been lightning quick with their offense.
Here comes some heat. Passes knocked down at the line of scrimmage. It'll be fourth down.
A huge play by Nate Tangway. It's just as good as a quarterback pressure. Get your hands up in the passing lane and bat a ball down. Try to get the Bearcat offense off schedule. And already you can see here, head coach Casey Keeler happy to go for it on fourth down and plus territory.
Sam Houston State 53% on fourth downs, and they'll make the completion inside the 30 down to the 25-yard line. Goes Corey Compton, still on his feet, and finally wrestled to the turf at the 23-yard line. A pickup of a dozen.
We've seen some press man out of North Dakota State early here. So one of the ways to help things out, you'll get a stack formation, sometimes a bunch. That time, Compton stacked behind a receiver, able to get an easier release and a nice throw and completion from Jeremiah Briscoe.
Inside handoff goes to Avery, who rushed for over 1,000 yards this week. Last week went for 129 and a touchdown in the win over Kennesaw State. Ironically, both these teams coming off wins over option teams.
You see that it's got to be a challenge for both these defenses, knowing you're going to see a distinctly different type of offensive attack. In talking with the North Dakota State defensive coaches, the biggest piece of it was they thought it was more challenging last week. They've seen these personnel groupings, but they haven't seen this level of talent that Sam Houston State has offensively.
2nd down and 7. 4-man rush over the middle, and that one almost picked off on the back end. Robbie Grimsley came in and almost scooped it up off the turf.
As you can see, Jeremiah Briscoe and how they're trying to deal with snap count get off. North Dakota State will enjoy fantastic advantage all game long because they know they have the crowd noise in their favor. They're doing a number of false claps to indicate the cadence so that the offense knows when to get off.
Over the middle, pass is caught. That one goes to Tyler Scott, a pickup of 11 and another 1st down. It'll be just outside the 10. I don't know if they'll set the chains up or not. The nose of the football sits on the 10, so maybe it'll be 1st and goal. We'll see. It will be.
And the difficulty you have defensively is that Jeremiah Briscoe, talented enough and understands this offense well enough, when he's been given time, and it's been throughout this drive, he will be able to find an open receiver. They're that talented at wideout.
Lewis goes in motion. They will throw it that way. Lewis spins. Swarmed by 3, 4 Bison jerseys and a pickup of only 1 when it's all said and done.
Other than the incomplete pass on the tip ball from Tangway, an opportunity for the Bison defense to kind of regroup. That right there indicative of how this defensive unit typically plays, rallying to the football. It's the effort that leaps out on film. That time they were able to get to the sideline and corral Lewis.
Sam Houston State averaging 45.5 points a game against the best defense in the FCS. To the end zone, and that one is incomplete. Briscoe a little late with that throw.
Exactly right, Dave. That ball came out a little bit later than he wanted to. You see the bracket coverage, safety coming over. And Trey Dempsey's got 5 interceptions on the year, 15 on his career. Did an excellent job crashing that route and batting the football away. A big 3rd down on a strong opening drive for Sam Houston State.
I'd say so. 11 plays, 79 yards to this point. They're looking at 3rd and goal.
You can see a little bit of confusion. It's so hard pre-snap communication because of the noise here in the Fargo Dome.
They'll swing it near side. Avery, nowhere to go. Again, the Bison covering sideline to sideline. A loss of a yard. Trey Dempsey making the play.
And that time, the Bison defense did an excellent job of changing the look for Jeremiah Briscoe. They were already having difficulty communicating offensively. You could see Briscoe after that play, very frustrated on his way off of the field, was not happy with that 3rd down snap.
Adrian Contreras will hold for his high school teammate Trey Honstein, who is 20 of 25 on the year. This from 28 yards, and he knocks it through the uprights. So Sam Houston State gets the field goal to make it a 3-0 ball game on the opening drive of the game. And it was a good drive that went 13 plays, 78 yards, a little over 4 minutes off the clock. Casey Keeler, the head coach of Sam Houston State. He has certainly had some success when you think about his numbers, 46-11 at Sam Houston State, but his 24th year overall. He's won 220 ball games. He's lost only 84, 3rd among active coaches in wins, 16th all-time in FCS wins, and the only coach to take 3 programs to an NCAA semifinal. Delaware, Rowan, and D3, and Sam Houston State. These guys are on the verge of getting back to another final, but they got to go through this buzzsaw here at North Dakota State.
Well, and I will say that opening offensive possession has to be a level of encouragement for the Bearcat offense. They were able to move the football with authority. Were it not for down towards the red zone area, a poor third down play because of miscommunication, take nothing away from the Bison defense, but it was obvious that play seemed doomed from the get-go. Difficulty trying to communicate, getting lined up. You saw an incomplete pass off a tip ball. Otherwise, you're talking about a pretty authoritative drive by Bearcat offense. This is what they do. They start fast. Will they be able to string together possessions like that one?
Onstein will kick it away. Williams will take a knee in the end zone and out to the 25-yard line. By the way, Onstein just tied a school record for field goals in a season with 21. Easton Stick, though, this guy does nothing but win ball games. The stats aren't gaudy, but he just wins.
You know, he's a guy that they started him out early. You know, even when they knew that he was going to redshirt, they had him rooming with Carson Wentz, a name that'll ring anyone's bell. You don't have to be a North Dakota State fan to recognize the talent that they had prior to Easton Stick. But he's a guy that they don't ask him to throw the football a lot. 6 different times they threw the ball 20 times or less this year. But he's a playmaker. He's an orchestrator of their play-action passing game, and he's opportunistic as a runner.
They will throw on first down. A lot of razzle-dazzle at the line of scrimmage. That pass is caught by Ilias, the tight end, with his 18th catch. Boy, they lose the tight end a lot. That's 43 catches out of that tight end group this year.
It's a collective contribution from that position. And they're going to do this a lot. This is part of what North Dakota State likes to do offensively. They'll move the pocket. They'll boot their athletic quarterback and Easton Stick out, let him get out on the edge. Ilias, one of those weapons at the tight end spot for them. We'll see a number of multiple tight end formations out of the Bison.
Handoff left side, big hole there for Bruce Anderson. Anderson looking for 1,000 yards, came in with 970 on 199 carries, picks up 7.
If you like run blocking schemes, this is your kind of offense. How about a wham play? That time by Ben Ellefson. He was the move tight end. He ends up being almost like a lead blocker up into the hole. You don't even block a 3-technique defensive tackle. That's just enough to get the defensive front, who's got very talented players for the Bearcats, starting with P.J. Hall, number 92, and Azuka McBemina, difference makers along the defensive line.
Ty Brooks with his first carry today off the right side, gets it close to the midfield stripe, just a little bit shy, picks up a couple of yards. He'll be about a yard shy of the first down.
This is a comfort zone, though, for the Bison. You know, this is something that if they can get into a 3rd and short, they feel as if they can almost always convert. It's one of the better teams, obviously, at the FCS level in converting nearly 50% of their 3rd down tries, 45% on the year. If they can get it 3rd and short, when you're a power running football team, this is where you really assert yourself.
Anderson, your tailback. Little bootleg near side. They will throw it to Brock Robbins, the fullback, and he'll get the first down. They'll spot it at the 42, a gain of 10 yards.
Or you run play action on 3rd and short off a power look, and you get the defensive eyes looking into your backfield, and once again, you're able to leak a receiver, that time being Robbins, into the secondary. Actually had a shot at Nate Jensen downfield. Could have been a home run ball, but as it is, another conversion to extend the possession.
7th straight semifinal game for North Dakota State. Down 3-0, first quarter football. Stick going deep. Pass caught and dropped. Dimitri Williams had his hands on it. Darius Mouton back in coverage for the Bearcats.
When we talk about Easton Stick, he's not going to throw it nearly as much as Jeremiah Briscoe here today. But that was about as well-placed ball as you're going to see. Dropping it right in the bucket for Dimitri Williams, who's got to come up with that catch for his quarterback. Full slide protection. He had a nice clean pocket to work with on a first down play action pass.
There goes Bruce Anderson, the junior out of Ruskin, Florida. He picks up 4. So now it'll be 3rd down and 6 as Justin Johnson makes the tackle. Led the team this year. Came in with 101 stops for Sam Houston State. You know, we talk about offense for Sam Houston State, but their defense certainly has some holes. And, you know, one of the things that this team did early in the year was just get back to basics, simplify things. And they've started to game plan a little bit more, if you will, as they entered the playoffs.
Yeah, you know, you got a bunch of guys starting in week 1, 9 of their 11 defenders starting their first college football game. Not a spot that you want to be. They had to grow into their roles.
Comes a late blitz. North Dakota State picks it up. Darius Shepard knocked out of bounds inside the 20 at the 19-yard line. A 19-yard pickup. It'll be 1st and 10.
7-man protection. They wanted to make sure that Easton Stick had a nice clean pocket once again, back-to-back now, where he's had opportunities on his last 2 throws to deliver a football from an incredibly clean pocket. No pressure from the Sam Houston State defensive front, who's got a couple of guys in P.J. Hall and Chris Stewart that can get after the passer. The difficulty will be is shifting their mindset versus these big personnel groupings, knowing that they can still get downhill on you offensively.
Fake to Anderson, going to the end zone. Back shoulder throw and dropped. Another outstanding throw from Easton Stick.
Jalen Thomas in coverage, and well, they're letting him play in pass protection. I mean, you see right here, I'm amazed that a flag does not come out right there. Jalen Thomas, a true freshman corner, he had a handful of jersey with this left hand. No flag comes out. If that continues to be the case, it'll be interesting to see versus Sam Houston State when they have offense, if they're allowed to play as physically as it is. A missed opportunity in the end zone for the Bison.
Easton Stick will keep it. He's to the 10. Down to the 5 and hit right there. But that'll be another Bison 1st down after a gain of 13.
And he got a great block from Nate Jensen. He came all the way across the formation. He was hipped off the right side of the offensive front. And Stick does an excellent job reading the edge, pulling that football. And we mentioned he's already demonstrated his arm talent in this game. And now we've seen his running ability to move that football well into this red zone and a 1st and goal opportunity.
Over 600 yards rushing for Stick. Trying to add to that here. A race to the corner. Touchdown. His 11th rushing touchdown, or 12th rushing touchdown of the year.
Well, when the Bison offense gets down in this part of the football field, as you see him taking a shot going out of the end zone from Josh Price, they like that quarterback run game. We'll be surprised if they don't jump into 4 wides. We might see a quarterback draw or 2 in the red zone. They pick their spots with Easton Stick, the athletic quarterback. They want him to take too many shots. But you could see on 2 carries on that possession, able to extend the drive and get in the end zone.
Well, our cameraman down there, been with us all year. He's one of the best, Willie Lockhart, getting his nose in this play. Stick coming right at him. Welcome to the game, Willie. Well, there's a pretty solid history between these 2 teams going back to 2011. The teams met in the FCS Championship. The Bison won that one 17-6. They would start a 5-year run of dominance. In 2012, they would meet again. The following year, North Dakota State would win it 39-13. Craig Bohl getting used to hoisted the trophy in Frisco. In 2014, it was a semifinal meeting right here in the Fargo Dome. And that's when North Dakota State won it 35-3. What a run for Chris Kleiman and Craig Bohl here at North Dakota State. These 2 teams meeting for the 6th time. North Dakota State leads it 4-1. How about the Bison? 26-2 in FCS playoff games. Just crazy numbers.
That's dominating when you think about it, having made their 8th straight playoff berth. And when they get there, they cash in.
Cam Peterson will kick it away. And that is not good, as Nathan Stewart loses control and it bounces out of bounds. They'll spot it at the 6.
Well, what he's doing right there, if you're going to do it, field it with a foot in bounds, one out of bounds, and then you'll get the ball up off an illegal kick.
Now the question is, was he out of bounds though when he touched the football?
He should have never even been over there.
But I think they're going to look at this. Right, you're right. But my point is, though, this could be a huge break, because that would be, if he was out of bounds, kick out of bounds.
The ball was touched in bounds and knocked out of bounds. That play is under further review.
And that's exactly what we're going to look at, and we'll see if he was standing out of bounds when he made contact with that football.
Watch his right foot. He's already out of bounds. His right foot was already on the boundary when he makes contact with the ball.
Yep. It could be a huge break for Sam Houston State. Their first kickoff, they got it to the 12-yard line, settled for a field goal. Not quite sure why we got to run all the way over there. Maybe the penalty. They're going to see.
After review, the receiver's right foot was out of bounds prior to touching the ball. It's a penalty for a kickoff out of bounds. Sam Houston State will take the ball at the 35-yard line. First down.
I mean, huge.
If you're going to do it, if you're going to be over there, then part of you has to be out of bounds. It ends up being kind of a smart play. If there's a chance that it might land inbounds and there's a way for you to touch it and have a body part out of bounds, it makes it an illegal kick. That's not what Stewart was doing. He got lucky there.
So they were going to be at the 6. Instead, they're at the 35. Briscoe on that first drive, 6 of 10, 58 yards. Going deep, overthrows his intended target, Nathan Stewart. Briscoe, interesting story. Young man was a highly touted high school quarterback, was ranked in the top 20 coming out of high school, and had a couple of great opportunities coming out of high school. Baylor was where he was headed, but then wanted to make some other visits. That all fell through. Ended up going to UAB, and then they dropped the program. Looking for a place to play, and finds Sam Houston State, and they have certainly enjoyed what Mr. Briscoe has brought. Inside handoff. That goes to Corey Avery.
You can see what Matt Ince is trying to do with Jabril Cox, number 42, freshman of the year in the Missouri Valley Conference. He'll play him out over in the slot, and they're trying to cover down that number 2 receiver. And they're forcing the RPO game to try to run the football, and then he'll crash into the box after the snap. He's a long, rangy athlete that they'll trust in coverage.
Pressure coming from the end. A little shovel pass out to Avery. He'll have the first down at midfield. What a play by Briscoe to avoid the sack. A gain of 13.
Well, the Bison defense has been able to get nearly home on a couple of different snaps with just 4 rushers. And that time they get all the way around. Stanley Jones with the hit on Briscoe, who can throw from a bunch of different platforms and arm angles. Great awareness by the quarterback.
And flags come in late. Compton, the intended receiver, Jalen Allison, back there in coverage.
Caleb Butler with the pressure on Briscoe. Now we've seen this a couple of times in this game on downfield throws that are eliciting these pass interference calls. We saw one that proved to be a no call in the end zone on the Bison offensive possession. See Coach Kleiman there. A little bit concerned with how that worked out. They're saying Jalen Allison is there well before the football.
There is Chris Kleiman, former defensive coordinator here before being named the head coach to replace Craig Bowl. 52-6. That's a pretty good start.
Yeah, fastest to 50 wins since Ron Earhart coached here.
Opponents were 2 of 26 on third downs in their first 2 playoff games. Intercepted. Marquise Bridges comes up with the defensive play as he stepped in front of Nathan Stewart to come up with a football.
Defensive coordinator Matt Entz said, we got to change the picture on Jeremiah Briscoe. He does such a good job of dissecting what you're trying to do pre-snap. He knows exactly where he wants to go with the football. And that time, did a great job jumping this football. And Marquise Bridges comes up with the first big turnover of the game for the Bison defense. And now the Herd gets to work their offense.
The NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. Northwestern Mutual, we help you live life differently. And in part by Audi.
It was some kind of scene coming to the Fargo Dome earlier tonight. Huge campers. They set up tents right outside the big buses and campers. And I mean, the parking lot was wall to wall with folks. It was amazing.
It was pretty impressive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you think you can't, nowhere else in the country can you complain about the elements and not being able to tailgate. It was sleeting out there, and the guys are walking around in blue jeans and T-shirts.
Not me. Just make that clear.
We were in the car. They were walking around in blue jeans and T-shirts.
There goes Anderson. It's a foot race down the near sideline. Anderson to the 10. Touchdown! 62 yards for the Bison. The first place after the interception.
Reminiscent of last week versus Wofford. The Bison kind of a tight game. Bison defense generate turnovers. The Bison offense capitalizing on them. Took one play to make the Bearcats pay for turning the football over.
North Dakota State now plus 15 in the turnover department. An amazing number, and this is how that got started.
Well, it starts with the pick from Marquise Bridges, playing zone all the way. His eyes are in the backfield. And the defense says sometimes Briscoe predetermines where he goes with the ball, and they get the ball back to their offense. And they crease the Bearcats right in the A-gap, right in the middle of that defensive front. And Anderson goes untouched to the end zone. It's not easy to run the football between the tackles. He doesn't make contact with anybody. Not one of his guys, not one of their guys. The only thing that touched were the bottom of his cleats.
A career-long 62-yard run. He's now over 1,000 for the season. His 9th rushing touchdown of the year. And that puts North Dakota State up 14-3 on Sam Houston State.
And here's the problem with this formula. If you're Sam Houston State, yes, you know you're an explosive offense. But the difficulty is you know your defense throughout this season has given up yards and points. North Dakota State, they can shorten this football game. They can possess the ball. They will run it and burn clock and limit your offensive possessions.
This one, Stewart will field cleanly. He's to the 15. He's out to the 25, to the 32-yard line, and thrown to the ground. Hey, Saturday on ABC, we'll have 2 college football bowl games for you. At noon Eastern, it's Grambling, the SWAC champs, taking on North Carolina A&T, the MEAC champs. It's the 3rd annual Celebration Bowl from Atlanta. Then at 3:30 Eastern, 25th-ranked Boise State takes on Oregon in the Las Vegas Bowl. Both games also available on the ESPN app. It's here. Bowl season is here.
As is playoff season, right? And these things are just starting to get ramped up. We're in playoff country here in North Dakota.
Remus Bulmer in the backfield alongside Briscoe. Straight drop. Going deep down the far side again. That one is through the hands of Stewart. Almost hauled that one in. Bridges on the coverage again.
That Bridges outside now. Matched up with Nathan Stewart. And the offensive philosophy persists. Take shots downfield. Challenge these guys. Bridges could have come up with another pick on that one. Played that football in the air. And Briscoe took another shot as he released that football.
Briscoe goes to his outlet on the wide side. Lewis making the catch, dancing around, and will have the first down. How did he get through those jerseys over there? Gain of 12.
Jedediah Lewis. He's the gray beard in the wide receiver room. There's a couple of 5th-year seniors connecting right here. What a great job by Lewis of just creating his own space. He broke 3 tackles out there, just shaking and baking over there in the flats.
Lewis now with 67 catches on the year. Incomplete. Boy, Briscoe a little bit hot.
He can't believe it. He's getting all over Nathan Stewart. He's coming to his side once again, and he's expecting Stewart. And he knew it. As soon as the pressure comes, he wants Stewart to break off underneath that safety, rolling over the top in coverage as soon as Jalen Allison came with the corner blitz.
2nd down and 10. Briscoe coming near side with it, and it'll be caught by Bulmer, but he's hit immediately. A loss of 4 on the play, and there's the redshirt freshman, Jabril Cox, the former high school quarterback, who's learning how to play defense, and he's learning rather quickly.
Well, he's doing a great job. You can see his range on that open field tackle. A great job of getting Bulmer to the ground. He had a chance, if he breaks that first tackle, to pick up some yardage and make it 3rd and manageable. As it is, a negative yardage play, and the Bison defensive front with 4 down, now a 3-down look. They have been getting to Briscoe, affecting him as the passer and getting him off of the spot. And another 3rd down where the Bearcat offense, they don't like what they've got pre-snap and had to take a timeout.
Coach Keeler and the Bearcats take a timeout. Big 3rd and 14 coming up when we come back. January 6th, Frisco, Texas. It has become a nice home for the FCS championship game. North Dakota State's had great success there. James Madison last year beat this North Dakota State team in the semifinals here in Fargo. Who will get there in 2017? 3rd down.
Yeah, Jedediah Lewis lined up across from Jabril Cox, the middle of the 3 receivers to the top of your screen.
4-man rush over the middle. Nice catch from Davion Davis, but he's shy of the line to make by about 3 yards. Give him 11 on the reception. Nick DeLuca will make the tackle, and that'll force the Bearcats to bring out their punt team.
Just emphasizes even more how big that open field tackle was on Bulmer. A quick little outlet pass. He picks up a few more yards. That route's deep enough to convert. But because of the tackle for loss, not enough, and the Bearcats having to punt it away.
Connor Crow, a backup kicker, is punting because Cameron Hearn tore an ACL, and that is a good-looking kick from Connor Crow. How about the job by your backup field goal kicker, who's been forced into duty? A 45-yard punt. It'll be down at the 5. Another Missouri Valley championship for this Bison team. Finished up 12-1 for the second consecutive year, though. The team that trips them up is South Dakota State. In that game, though, North Dakota State had 5 turnovers in that loss, 33-21. Of course, if things work out, there may be a rematch. James Madison will have something to say about that, and certainly Sam Houston State got some work to do, but this is a team that's dominated the Missouri Valley. That handoff goes to Ty Brooks, who will pick up 5 on first down.
Well, the Bearcat defense is going to have to tighten up from A-gap to A-gap, either side of the offensive center. Last run from Bruce Anderson went for a touchdown. That time, you're picking up 5 yards on just a little simple fold scheme at left guard. You know, they're trying to create some angles versus big P.J. Hall, number 92. And they're doing a good job of it.
Here goes Brooks. He's got the corner. Brooks cuts it back, stays on his feet. Lost the football for a moment, but fell right on top of it. They'll mark it at the 35-yard line. A 55-yard run, and they're picking up some huge chunks of this turf here at the Fargo Dome.
That time, running it out of almost an inverted wishbone, looked like the diamond formation. When they talk about Ty Brooks, we're going to be excited about seeing him play. As it looks like Brooks might be shaken up there at the end of that run. Might have fallen on the football when he recovered it. Not only did he recover it, though, sometimes when you land on the ball awkwardly like that, it'll knock the wind out of you.
Career-long rush for Brooks of 55 yards.
He's the most explosive player they got, Dave. Offensively, take nothing away from some of these guys. Of their 25-plus yard runs or offensive plays on the season, 17 of them have come from Ty Brooks.
43 plays over 30 yards for this North Dakota State offense. 90 plays over 25 yards.
What's interesting is when you look at where their explosive plays are coming from, typically, eventually, the tipping point will go towards the passing game. Not here at North Dakota State. It's even, 36-36. They've had some big plays, but it's been balanced out of both elements of their offense.
So Brooks is helped up.
I don't know, maybe he didn't get his wind knocked out. He's holding that left arm pretty awkwardly. He may have separated his shoulder. Sometimes when you fall and you land right on the point of your shoulder, you'll separate it. Of course, the training staff will take a good look at that. An explosive playmaker out of the backfield for the Bison.
153 yards on the ground for the Bison. Sam Houston State, 7.
It's one of those things where they said, too, defensively, we want to force them to run it. They haven't necessarily done that, but they've certainly slowed it down when the Bearcats have attempted to keep it on the ground.
On first down, here goes Easton Stick, and he'll get out of bounds. Gain of a dozen.
They're not just big slugs up front for the Bison. Well, that time Tanner Volson does a great job just pulling and leading around from his center spot. They've done an excellent job. You know, you look at what Sam Houston State is doing with their front, and they're filling up those gaps. Makes it difficult to run power with the number of defensive linemen that they're putting to the tight end side. So you run outside as opposed to try to bang your head against a brick wall.
Stick to throw, lofts it up, has a man, touchdown! Bruce Anderson, 23 yards out. What a quarter for Bruce Anderson.
They window dressed that one up. They hit a touchdown on a wheel route last week versus Wofford. And then again this week, this time Bruce Anderson getting in the end zone.
Point after is up and good. And the Bison have put up 3 touchdowns here in the opening frame.
So you see all these bodies over here to defend what could be a power. So you run play action off of it and just spin the wheel route. And Bruce Anderson out of the backfield. Fly sweep motion. No one accounts for Anderson. He gets behind Justin Johnson, the linebacker of the Bearcats, number 54, caught looking in the backfield and didn't notice Anderson until he'd already blown by him. And the Bison in the end zone again.
Easton Stick with 24 touchdown passes this year against 7 interceptions. 21 first quarter points by the Bison.
Well, the hard part too is you see the way North Dakota State's playing defensively. And Nathan Stewart, the Bearcat offense came out swinging. They continue to take shots downfield. But the Bison defense has responded and have now afforded the offense to create some serious separation early in this game.
Stewart again, this time from the 5. Saturday, we'll have a bowl triple header for you on ESPN at 1 o'clock Eastern. It's the Arnell Carriers New Orleans Bowl with Troy taking on North Texas. Then at 4:30, Marshall battles Colorado State in the Gildan, New Mexico Bowl. Finally at 8, Middle Tennessee and Arkansas State. They'll meet at the Raycom Media Camellia Bowl. All 3 games also streaming live on that ESPN app. Coming your way Saturday beginning at 1 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. Well, the good news is if you're Sam Houston State is you know your offense can score and they can score in a hurry. They lead the FCS in scoring. But so far, North Dakota State has had the answer. A flag comes in from our back judge, and he was way back there at the Bison 40-yard line. Jedediah Lewis was the intended receiver.
Defense, number 44. This is eligible receiver. 10-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
That's the 3rd pass interference against this North Dakota State defense.
He is. And when he heads into the interior portion of the front, watch him. That's a good call by the back judge on Nick DeLuca. Check his rotator cuff because he threw that flag about 25 yards.
It was a good throw. First down and 10 now from the 30. They'll hand it off to Avery. Breaks a tackle and spins out to the 38-yard line. Give him 8. Trey Dempsey making the stop.
It was a nice run by Avery and a good job capturing the edge by Mitchell Watanabe, left tackle for the Bearcats. Did just enough versus Stanley Jones to allow Avery to get outside.
Briscoe has a man. That's Stewart. Lost the handle.
Briscoe's been a little bit off in this game. We've seen a couple of overthrows. That time he has an open receiver in Stewart, and he throws over his outside shoulder. Stewart clearly expecting that ball inside. Watch him turn all the way around. Still should have made the catch, but not the best ball from Jeremiah Briscoe. He throws that inside. Stewart catches it in stride and bangs his head on the goalpost.
Little end around. Bison there to meet Yeti Lewis. Caleb Butler, no gain on the play. It's 4th down.
Great job by Butler staying home. We've seen this a couple of different times from the Bearcats. A lot of misdirection Plenty of backfield motion. Butler stayed at home, did a great job of securing the edge and denying the yards to gain. And once again, the Bison defense forcing a punt back to the O. Big missed opportunity for the Bearcat offense on that downfield throw from Briscoe to Stewart.
And that'll be the end of the first quarter. North Dakota State watched Sam Houston State march it down the field in 13 plays and start this game with a field goal. But since then, Chris Kleiman and company putting on a pretty good offensive show. They have put up 21 here in the first 15 minutes and lead it by 18. NCAA FCS Football Championship Semifinal brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Boy, North Dakota State 21. Sam Houston State 3 after 15 minutes of play. This has gone exactly how that man, Chris Kleiman, would have wanted it to go. Look at the total yards.
A huge disparity. And you got to keep in mind, too, that first drive by Sam Houston State, 72 yards of their 104 total.
High kick from Crow. Fair catch called for at the 20 by Shepard. 42-yard punt. Well, here's how they scored in the first quarter. It all got started with a quarterback in a foot race to the corner of the end zone. Easton Stick
had a nice run prior to this run. Takes out our cameraman. Willie does a great job maintaining possession of the camera. And then Bruce Anderson is able to make Sam Houston State pay off an interception untouched on an inside A-gap run. Hard to do. And then it's Anderson again on a wheel route off a play-action pass. He gave that power look, which is a staple of the Bison offense, and the Bearcats bit.
Stick plants, throws. Pass is caught out at the 39-yard line. Urzendowski, their leading receiver, picks up 17 yards. So you look at this North Dakota State drive chart. All told, 15 plays, 232 yards, and they have all resulted in touchdowns.
And they're doing it so methodically. It's almost surgical. You know, here they are. You knew what they're going to try to do to you, although we will say, and we talked about this over the break, we've seen more first down passing than we anticipated. That said, the Bison have been very efficient offensively so far.
Here's Anderson trying to get out to the corner. Well played there by Adrian Contreras. He'll get it to the 40-yard line, pick up a 4.
Even when it's well defended, right. Anderson does a great job of picking up 4 yards. Because Contreras, great job of tracking that ball all the way out of the offensive backfield. He was in position, just didn't get that tackle. A 4-yard pickup is more than enough. That's very much on schedule for any offense, but certainly one that runs the football as effectively as the Bison do.
Anderson. Drive at his feet. That pile will get it out to the 44-yard line. Justin Johnson, first man there for the Bearcats. And you talk about Bruce Anderson, you got to understand this run game got decimated by injuries this year. They lost their top tailback and their number 4 and 5 tailbacks along the way. And some other guys have been banged up as well, like Ty Brooks. But Lance Dunn was supposed to be their dude, but he's got a torn labrum. He's out, missed the last 6 games. So they haven't had exactly the kind of depth they've had before. But you got Anderson and Brooks. That's a pretty good combination.
And I wonder, be interesting. You're right. Coming into this game, Brooks with the big run. We haven't seen him. As that shoulder injury, perhaps, we'll have to follow up and find out how healthy he is.
Stick. He's going to be shy of the line to make. Bearcats come up. He'll be stopped at the 45, and you have to get it over the 42 for a first down. Hunter Brown, the middle linebacker there, making the play. And it looks like the Bison will bring out their punt team.
Great play by Hunter Brown. Former walk-on. Was able to evade the block of Tanner Volson. And a big stop by Sam Houston State. You can't overstate it enough, because we were just talking about how the Bison, they were rolling offensively. Good job by the run defense there on the Bearcats on the interior defensive front.
First punt of the night for North Dakota State. Not a good one. That'll get out of bounds. Sam Houston State will have the football, but they're trailing by 18. Second quarter action from Fargo. North Dakota State leading Sam Houston State 21-3. Second quarter football. The Bearcats' first drives, 13 plays, 78 yards, and a field goal. Since then, they've run 11 plays, 2 punts, and a pick. They got to get it going. There have been a couple of opportunities, some drop balls, a couple of bad throws. They just haven't been in sync offensively.
No, you could tell that there have been times, obviously, Briscoe and Stewart have been on different pages in the passing game. Seen a couple of bad balls out of Briscoe, which is uncharacteristic. But as explosive as the Bearcats are, this is their opportunity off a defensive stop to turn the momentum.
Bulmer, nowhere to go.
Great play by Jared Tuska. And this is a nightmare, having played offensive tackle. When you got a guy who's got a nasty spin move, Tuska just wins, spins right inside of the block of Sam Spencer and gets the tackle for loss.
The Tuska boys, Jared the senior, his brother Derek the sophomore, both on the defensive side of the ball. Briscoe has time to throw, and that one is picked off. Trey Dempsey with his 6th interception of the year, trying to find some room to run. Out of bounds inside the 20-yard line.
We mentioned Trey Dempsey earlier. He had a pass breakup in the end zone on the opening drive that forced the field goal attempt. You see off the play action, Briscoe is waiting for Davis to break open, and Dempsey's just reading Briscoe's eyes, playing the middle field safety, and watching where Briscoe's going to go with the football. Twice now, where Bison defenders have allowed the quarterback's eyes to lead them to the football.
And you see 21 right there, Jalen Allison. He is the injured player. The crowd booing. Bulmer, the running back, went down low on Allison, who was trying to lead for Dempsey as a lead blocker. Boy, Chris Kleiman not happy with that. I mean, the crowd thinks, you know, Snitch, they're watching it on the big board, and Chris Kleiman, you see his reaction. He is barking across the field.
What they're thinking, well, I'm sure what Kleiman is saying is that by the time the contact was made in his eyes, Dempsey would have already been out of bounds, and that it was late. Really wasn't. It's bang, bang. Bulmer's trying to take out a lead blocker. See Dempsey, number 3, he's going out of bounds. Bulmer's already committed to going low to take out that lead blocker. Fans don't like it. It looks late from that angle. See Kleiman pleading his case. Dempsey couldn't believe it either, of course, after it happened. Allison, as we mentioned, one of the best cover men in the Bison defense. They're booing, they don't like it. It's a clean play. You know,
right.
There's nothing illegal about what Bulmer did, unless one of the angles does make it look as if Dempsey was already out of bounds.
But it happened so quickly. You can't say for him to pull up.
No, it's just... The bigger piece is there was a holding penalty that reversed the turnover.
Sam Houston State just got their offense back on the field. They were even surprised that there was a hold. We never saw the flag. And there was never a call over the PA system.
The word we've gotten is that there was a holding penalty that negated before the interception would have occurred. A holding penalty while the Bison defense, before they possessed the football. Never saw a flag or an explanation.
Second down. Bulmer. He'll pick up a yard and a half.
talk about the noise and the decibel level. You can see now the difficulty for the Bearcat offense.
Incomplete, way overthrown, looking for Davion Davis.
A big turn of events. The Bison offense could have taken possession inside the Bearcat red zone. Bearcats maintain possession due to penalty. The Bison D able to get the ball back and force this punt near midfield.
End over end kick. Shepard. He breaks out of the pile. Shepard breaks another tackle. He'll get out of bounds inside the 45-yard line to the 43. That'll be a 26-yard return. And North Dakota State in business again. Home folks happy inside the Fargo Dome. Bison up 21-3. With a quick snap. Anderson with that carry. Contreras will come up and make the play. North Dakota State's offense has been unstoppable for the most part here. This team, we talk about Sam Houston State's offensive efficiency. You got to keep in mind that North Dakota State, second in the FCS in scoring at 39 points a game. They just do it a little differently than Sam Houston State. Averaging 267 yards a game on the ground, only 180 through the air. Anderson breaks one, breaks two. Can he break a third? Yes. Boy, he is nifty.
He does such a good job in traffic. You know, hits it up in the middle of the offensive front, doesn't panic, keeps his eyes up and downfield, does a great job. He's almost like a passer in that regard. You see so much traffic on these inside runs. He's even willing to cede a yard or two to create some running space.
North Dakota State wants a timeout. They will get it. 9:07 to play here in the second quarter. Back to Fargo after this. Two teams that know something about postseason football. They met in the 11 and 12 FCS championship game, and they also met in the 14 semifinal game. All of those went to the Bison of North Dakota State. Somebody's moving to Frisco for the January 6th FCS National Championship. Right now, North Dakota State out in front 21-3, looking at a 3rd down and 4. Easton Stick, 5 of 7, 84 yards and a touchdown through the air. There goes Anderson. Again, inside the 10, give him another touchdown, 37 yards. A 122 yards rushing for number 8.
In our call with the North Dakota State coaches, they talked about Anderson. When Dunn went down, he felt like he had to do too much, kind of had to be the man. He had to settle down and recognize what his role was in this offense. Well, his role is he's the drumbeat. He's the engine that makes it go. And in this game, he has shown up big, not only as a runner, but as a receiver as well. Was not a particularly well-blocked play. Anderson just showed really good vision in picking his way through the middle of the Bearcat defense, and once again another inside run going for a touchdown.
I'd say that he's having a pretty good evening. 8 carries for number 8. 3 touchdowns on 122 yards rushing. Anderson went for 160 back in early September, game 2 against Eastern Washington. Averaging 74 yards a game coming in, but obviously that one's going to move up a little bit after today's performance. And just an update for you, Ty Brooks, his backup, is being evaluated back in the locker room for an upper arm shoulder area injury. No word on him yet. Jalen Allison, by the way, who we saw get hurt a moment ago on that play, on the interception that was called back, he is out for the game with a right knee injury. And, just to kind of clarify that, I think Chris Kleiman, there was a penalty on there, a holding. They gave the football back to Sam Houston State. And, I think his intent and his anger was directed at the flag more so than maybe the play. As a loose football comes out again, and another turnover gives it to North Dakota State. Trey Dempsey will come up with the football, and North Dakota State is rolling here inside the Fargo Dome.
It was forced by Dimitri Williams, wide receiver, running down on the coverage unit. And he sticks Stewart. They've been kicking that direction all game. And Dimitri Williams gets his helmet right on the football. It bounces right to Dempsey. And number 3 for the Bison. He's just got a knack for being around the football. Another huge play, this time in special teams for North Dakota State. And the Bearcats, this one's getting away from them. It may already be away from them, and it's early.
8:45 to go in the second quarter. Seth Wilson now in at tailback. Seth working the left side. Flag comes down, but he'll drive the pile to the 40-yard line.
Offside. Number 12 on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Remaining first down.
Defensive end Spencer Williams cheating up into that neutral zone, was aligned into the football. Probably just trying to see if they can't avoid ceding any more ground.
Williams, a transfer from Missouri, junior out of Jacksonville, Florida. Boy, you just can't, you can't help North Dakota State, and that's exactly what Sam Houston State has done today. You got to play almost a perfect game, especially here inside the Fargo Dome.
And take advantage of your opportunities. They created one on that first drive, came away with 3 points. That ain't enough. As effective as the Bison are when they get the ball. And to your point, Dave, if you're going to turn the football over, no one comes in there with that being part of their game plan. But you can't have these unforced errors, forced or otherwise, turn the football over, forfeiting possessions versus a team that will limit the number of times you'll touch the football.
Casey Keeler's team has won 9 straight games. During that 9-game winning streak, they have scored 50-plus points 4 times. Been a struggle today. Not only to score, but stop this guy, Bruce Anderson. He'll pick up 3. Johnson and Brown combined for that stop. It'll be 3rd down and short.
And that time was led around the edge by Austin Cooner. I mentioned how active this offensive line, this offensive front is for the Bison. Cooner, probably the best offensive lineman among the starting 5. Good athlete, strong at the point of attack, and can play in space.
Anderson got hit, but his forward progress will be good enough to move the chains. Justin Johnson now with 7 tackles here in the first half. Came in with 101, the team's leading tackler.
When you look at those 2 inside linebackers, Hunter Brown and Justin Johnson. He's led the Bearcat defense a couple of different years now. Very active. Hasn't been active enough so far in this game. And obviously, once again, 3rd down conversion for a Bison offense. If you give them 3rd and short, they're going to be able to capitalize.
Stick going up top, looking for Desmond Kane, and there'll be no flag on the play. Desmond, a transfer from Illinois. Freshman Zion McCollum back there in coverage.
Plus territory, first down, shut off a play action, and fans aren't going to like it because they've seen some PIs come out versus their defense twice now, where they've seen opportunities in the end zone where a Bearcat defender's making contact. I'm typically okay with a no call there.
Second down and 10. There goes Anderson. Give him 6. This one from 33 yards out. What a night for Bruce Anderson. 11 carries, 160 yards. He has just tied his career high set versus Eastern Washington in week 2. Point after, up and good. Again, a turnover starts it, Matt.
You just can't afford to give it back. They do such a great job of capitalizing and making you pay. It's not like you just give up a possession. You're giving that Bison offense a crack at your end zone. And twice in this game, they've made the Bearcats pay the ultimate price.
.255 yards on the ground for North Dakota State. Sam Houston State, 16 yards rushing. Back to that touchdown a moment ago by Anderson.
Just look at the patience, because it's clear the ball is intended to go here. You pulled your guard. Well, watch Anderson. Here he is, and he just sees a backdoor cut. Takes it all the way to the end zone, but great job by Tanner Volson at center. He's working a back block, and he turns it into a reach block. And Anderson feels that. You know, they rep these plays so much. It's not just the power, but they'll pull their guards. That time the Bearcats do a great job of stacking it up. And Anderson just sees that backdoor daylight, ran right where Austin Kuhnert was pulling from. And he's putting together one heck of a career performance here in the playoffs.
It's 35-3. My goodness. Boy, this kick is not good. It finally gets out of bounds, kind of hanging around over there on that sideline. But time for us to get an update. Let's get you to the studio and Chris Cotter.
All right, Dave, Division III championship being played right now over on ESPNU. Mount Union and Mary Hardin Baylor. Close, low-scoring game, early fourth, and look at Justin Hill go up to get it here. Purple Raiders up 10-0, trying to get another title.
A little bit closer there than it is here, Chris, as you see Mount Union trying to pick up their 13th Division III championship. I'd say that's a little dominance.
Yeah, I'll say. That's almost boring. That's like a no-hitter.
Not for Mount Union, but everybody else, yeah.
Everybody else.
First down and 10. Bearcats really struggling on offense right now. They have put together just 105 yards of offense. Four-man rush. Pass is caught over there by Lewis, and he'll be tackled short of the first down. Give him 7.5, maybe 8.
You know, one point in time in this game, it was just off by inches, maybe seconds.
Yeah.
You know, you could see that the passing game, those opportunities downfield, they miss those opportunities. And the Bison have stretched this thing to the point where they're not in panic mode, but this is definitely a sense of urgency for the #1 offense in FCS.
Corey Avery will have the first down. Chris Board with back-to-back tackles from that linebacker position. This defense of North Dakota State, they give up just 11 points a game. I mean, they're Alabama-ish numbers, if not even a little bit better. 91 yards a game on the ground, 137 yards through the air. I mean, they just dominate. Opponents only convert 26% on third downs. Incomplete on the far side, looking for Davion Davis. Bridges in coverage for the Bison.
Well, that time, Matt Entz brought pressure. 6 rushers, didn't get home to Briscoe. Left Bridges out there on an island. Great job, Grant Morgan almost getting in there, trying to collapse the pocket.
Briscoe 11 of 23, 96 yards. Swing it out to Lewis. He breaks the tackle, gets it into Bison territory around the 47.5-yard line. Nick DeLuca making the stop, the first team all-conference linebacker. Finalist for the Buck Buchanan Award for the Defensive Player of the Year in the FCS. How about this? He's up over 320 career tackles, has 7 career picks, 24 of those tackles behind the line. Coach say he's kind of a quiet leader. They rely on Dempsey to be kind of more of the vocal leader. That dude could just play.
He could just play. He's going to just play in the Senior Bowl here in a couple of weeks.
Big hit by number 49, Nick DeLuca. A senior out of Omaha, Nebraska, getting his nose in there.
So here's DeLuca. Watch him just get right downhill. He's going to diagnose and get downhill right now. The motion pulls him just a little bit to his right, and then he's going to get downhill on the running back, and he's joined by Jabril Cox. You're going to lose DeLuca, but you've got a great player in a couple more years out of Jabril Cox at linebacker.
4th down. There's Connor Crow to punt it away. High kick. Fair catch called for at the 20 and taken by Grimsley. So the Bison will have the football, leading it by 32 points. The FCS champion will be crowned January 6th in Frisco, Texas, just outside of Dallas. It'll be on ESPN2 at noon Eastern time. For more information, go to ncaa.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. Easton Stick. Back in 2015, Carson Wentz got hurt, and Stick led them to the championship, but Wentz got healthy enough, and they put him back in to start the championship game. That was their 5th consecutive.
Wentz deboed him a little bit, huh? Said, hey, Roomy.
Yeah. Sorry,
I'll take my job back now. Thanks for keeping the seat warm for me. Back into the driver's seat.
Well, we certainly wish Carson Wentz a speedy recovery. I know a tough blow for not just Eagle fans, but these Bison fans. They just he's one of their own.
Well, what a validation in a lot of ways of this program. You got a guy who's competing at the FCS level. He goes to the NFL, and he's playing incredibly well up until the point of his injury. Well, no doubt he'll bounce back.
Gain of 7 and a first down. Seth Wilson, the young man that because of the injuries in the backfield, they had to pull his red shirt off. And listen, they loved a red shirt here. How about, when you go back to the 2015 class, they redshirted every single freshman on that team.
That's what's so remarkable. They've recruited well here in North Dakota State, but they've also done a great job of being able to retain this talent. There's not near as much pressure. These guys can develop over the course of 5 years.
Wilson again on that carry. Only 3 true freshmen played this year.
And let me clarify, not near as much pressure, not from an expectation standpoint, but from a make a jump to the next level standpoint. These are really good football players, but Sundays aren't necessarily calling them as strongly as maybe you'd see some other programs.
Here's Wilson, gets it out with the 45 to the 46. That'll be a first down, a gain of 6.
So you see the Bison offense, they're turning this into an inside run drill. It's like 9-on-7 in practice. They'll start testing your will, and then when you get nosy a little bit, that's when they hit a shot over the top. We've seen a number of plays on first down, especially here tonight, where we've seen Courtney Messingham take a shot downfield on first down off of play action.
Just got word that Ty Brooks is now out for the game with a bad shoulder, so we'll see a lot of Anderson and Wilson the rest of the way. Here is Wilson. He'll cut it back on first down and get it Into Bearcat territory at the 46. It's a 7-yard gain. Justin Johnson on the stop. And they're just going to chew this clock up. Wait till there's 2-3 seconds on the play clock before they snap it.
You see these guys, this is a function of this offense and what they can do to you. It's almost a curveball. We talked about it. Defenses don't see this as much anymore. It's spread formations.
Pull off the left side for Wilson. He cuts it to the outside. He's inside the 20 and dropped around the 13-yard line by Darius Mouton. That's a gain of 33 yards.
We got a great block from Bryce Messner. And Messner's singled up that time versus P.J. Hall, who's one of the best defensive linemen in all the FCS. Now the Bison just kind of having their way with the Bearcats. As you see the plays, the rush seems to be working well.
That play clock down to 5. Lofting it up to the end zone and caught. Jeff Ilias with the touchdown from 12 yards away.
You see Ilias, look at that concentration, one-handed, just caught it with his left arm. They're down at the Herd and Horns right now, throwing back a couple of stones throws. They might run out of it tonight if they're celebrating every touchdown scored in this one.
The snap right through the hands of Jackson Coonsey, and nothing happening there. I would say in this setting, I think that missed PAT not going to hurt him. 41-3 our score. It has been all Bison here in the first half.
The NCAA FCS Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. Northwestern Mutual, we help you live life differently. And in part by Audi.
Chris Cotter and Trevor Maddich here with you. Got the halftime coming up. We're going to preview the second half of the semifinals here in the FCS. That's tomorrow. James Madison and South Dakota State. What do you make of this first half here?
Well, that's just a devastation. And those two teams, James Madison and South Dakota State, they're watching this game right now.
About
and if they win, this is their reward.
That's what they get. Dave, Matt, we'll see you at the half.
All right, guys, and you're right. Those two clubs in their hotel rooms right now.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, wrapping up some meetings probably and turn this one on. They're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. This is a kind of a what not to do versus this team.
And you know this, if this stays this way, that Frisco will be swarmed with Bison fans because the Bison fans travel. And they know their way to Frisco, Texas.
Yes, I guess they do. No GPS needed, right?
A little short kick. Fielded back at the 14-yard line and return out to the 40-yard line. As we take a look at the bracket, and James Madison, your defending champs, will take on South Dakota State, the 5 seed. And the championship game set for noon Eastern time, right here on ESPN2. Second to last football game of the year.
Yeah, and South Dakota State, incidentally, the only team that got the better of the Bison this year.
Well, the last two teams to beat North Dakota State.
That's
still alive.
Right? Yeah. If you're a Bison fan, you better believe they're going to be paying close attention tomorrow night.
Yeah. First down and 10. Briscoe's pass is caught right about the 50-yard line by Davis. That's a gain of 10. His second catch tonight. DeLuca making his 5th tackle here of the opening half. Briscoe, quick hitter to the 40-yard line. That one goes to Nathan Stewart. That's an 11-yard pickup. 19 seconds to go before halftime.
You see, this is their typical modus operandi. It's Casey Keeler.
Timeout. Just to Sam Houston State. It's their second timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Casey Keeler trying to get an explanation for something that upset him, that's for sure. Of course, tomorrow at 4:30 on ESPNU, it will be South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits, and James Madison, the Dukes. That'll be an interesting matchup, to say the least. Both those teams playing some good football, but James Madison has been on a tear the last 2 seasons.
It's been a different experience for James Madison, though. They barely survived a week ago. Meanwhile, North Dakota State, if this continues in this fashion, they have dominated their way through the playoffs. And the question is always, if that's a matchup that we end up seeing again, who does it favor? A team that's been dominant and hasn't faced or seen as much adversity, or one that's had to survive and overcome? James Madison would have been the latter.
James Madison has won 25 straight games. That is the longest active streak in the FCS and the second longest in the history of FCS. Who has the longest? The Bison. They went for 33 in a row from 2012 to 2014. So the clock resets to 19 seconds. And it'll be first down and 10 from the 40. Briscoe over the middle. Pass is caught. Big collision inside the 15. Lewis hangs on. Grimsley makes the hit. Gain of 30.
You see him hustling down. They're going to clock this football.
Bearcats just one timeout left.
See Briscoe looking to the sideline, getting the signal. They quieted down here for this last offensive possession here in the Fargo Dome. The fans are awake now in the red zone.
And a false start on the left side.
Number 66 on the offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Watanabe, the left tackle.
They've been monkeying around with their cadence. That time actually got one of their own.
Briscoe 15 of 27, 152. Dumps it off. Gets that one out to Remus Bulmer, and he'll be out of bounds at the 11, a 4-yard pickup.
Pass complete to number 34, Remus Bulmer.
We've seen this a couple times in this game. Briscoe finding the back out of the backfield. Nowhere to go downfield. Good coverage that time. Even if Briscoe had time, ends up having to drop it off.
Briscoe to the end zone, intercepted. Dempsey runs it out of the end zone. He gets a couple of blocks and is tripped up and down at the 40 as the half comes to a close. His second pick tonight, his 7th of the season, and what a half. Listen to this crowd.
Trey Dempsey, his coverage in the end zone twice. He's got a pass breakup and now a pick.
It is 41-3. Time for us to get it to the studio. Chris Connor, it's all yours.
Again, Walter Payton Player of the Year from a season ago. hadn't had a great night so far. Has been fooled by a couple of coverages. The Bison have done a pretty good job, seemingly, backing off some of their press man coverage that they were playing early on, especially in the opening possession, playing a little bit more zone, and they've done an excellent job of reading the quarterback of the Bearcats.
Bruce Anderson was the man in the first half. He already has a career-high rushing and a couple of touchdowns on the ground and one reception through the air for a touchdown. And it has just been a dominating first half.
And he's done it in 2 quarters of play. I mean, you're talking about a guy who has really emerged at tailback and has seized the moment here tonight. And Briscoe, it's kind of the tale of the 2 offensive stars in this one. Briscoe hit some shots downfield early, but he's been off target on some throws, and obviously in the end zone where the red zone defense has come up big for the Bison.
Student body right to Anderson. He'll get knocked out of bounds by Contreras. 160 yards in the first half, averaging 14.5 yards per carry, and that's right, 419 yards of offense in 30 minutes of football for the Bison.
And we knew that the distinction between these 2 teams was how well they played defense. Sam Houston State was an explosive offense, very prolific scorer. North Dakota State's number 2 in the FCS. It's not like they can't score, but the difference is their ability to stop offenses.
Anderson will get a couple of yards on that carry. It'll bring up 3rd down, and Justin Johnson already now with 10 stops. Yeah, 10 stops for Justin Johnson. Anderson, 165 on the ground, 3 touchdowns.
They're going to stop handing him the ball. They're going to wreck his average. He's played so well so far in this game. You better believe you're going to get a steady diet of number 8, especially given the fact that Ty Brooks will not be returning with that injury likely.
3rd down and 4. Stick. Boy, his receiver fell down over there. Looking for Ilias. Josh Price on the coverage, and it'll be a punting situation. So the Bearcats get a stop on the opening possession.
We saw that time. Pretty good protection. But as you mentioned, Ilias going down on the turf. And the Bearcats operated relatively well at the end of the half, right up until the point where they throw an interception in the end zone. And then they try to build on that offensive possession, absent the turnover at the end.
Kuntz will punt it away. Bearcats came after it. Crowd wanted a flag but there is not a flag on the field, and the Bearcats will have the football at the 37-yard line. The crowd just saw the replay. There's nothing there. He tapped him to say hello on the shoulder, I think.
Give that man a statue. Very impressive. A strong performance from Kuntz, but the boos have converted to the noise that's challenged the Bearcats all night.
Briscoe, 16 of 29 through the air, but 2 interceptions. This pass caught by Rogan Henderson.
Briscoe's pass is complete to number 88.
Second team all Southland performer. 11 yards on that reception.
You know, the one quibble I might have with North Dakota State's defense is the tackling hasn't always been superb, especially after some of these swing passes out to the flats. There's an opportunity to get receivers on the ground.
They hand it off to the big fella, Henderson, barreling his way down to the 25-yard line.
It was a unique formation. Yeah, Henderson was lined up in the offensive backfield. They gave the Bison a little taste of their own medicine.
Grimsley just fell right off of him.
That's a big body bumbling his way through the secondary.
So Henderson in motion, the tight end. He'll stop on the right side of that line. Briscoe, some pressure comes from the corner. He goes the other way, and that one is incomplete. No flags on the play. Looking for Compton.
Well, it's as if the Bearcats have kind of jettisoned their 11 personnel. One back, one tight end. Instead, they're going to go 4 wides with Ragan Henderson there.
Briscoe throws a bullet, but a little bit high, looking for Lewis.
Briscoe's pass intended for number 9, Lewis.
So now it'll be 3rd down and 10 for the Bearcats.
So you can see, you jump in those 4 wide receivers, see if you can't get a advantage in the box. That time, though, once again, an errant throw from Briscoe as he had Lewis open.
Bearcats 2 of 9 on 3rd downs tonight. Pass caught. Davis reception.
Briscoe's pass.
He might be a yard shy of the line to make. I don't think he got it. But I think in a 41-3 game, I don't think there's any question what Sam Houston's going to do here.
They didn't necessarily have to get it right. We know you're going to go for it on 4th down. Get just enough. And Davis, who's had a relatively quiet night.
53% this year on 4th downs for the Bearcats. And that number will go up as they hand it off to Corey Avery, who will pick up 4 yards. The senior out of Dallas, Texas, who transferred in from Kansas. 3-time first-team All-Southland Conference performer. Averaging 82 yards a game. Over 3,300 career yards on the ground for Mr. Avery.
You see on the freeze cadence, looked as if the Bison were going to bring edge pressure with Jabril Cox. The Bearcats check, the Bison check.
Briscoe in trouble, chased down and dropped back at the 22-yard line by Derek Tuska. A loss of 7.
Tuska gets a nice jump. Here he is. He's just going to get upfield right now. Straight speed rush versus Watanabe. He kind of ducks his head, shortens corner, and Tuska is able to get to the passer once again. You can see that starting on the second series, where the Bison defensive front was starting to be able to get pressure on the quarterback.
That one almost picked off.
And you can see that when Sam Houston State's moved the ball, they've been able to do it from 20 to 20. They get into the red zone. The spread offense is playing on a condensed field. You've got 3 Bison defenders converging on that pass.
Got to get it inside the 5-yard line for a first down. Little draw play. Here goes Avery. Gets it inside the 10. Nice job by the safety Grimsley to come up and make the play.
Like the play call there, though, of course, you got a light box. Opportunity to get a lead blocker up there in front. Allow Avery to make a play in space. Nice block by Tristan Went at center. As you mentioned, heck of an open field tackle by Grimsley to force his 4th down.
10th play of the drive. Getting loud. There's a flag, false start.
We got Watanabe again.
Tell you what, this place makes it difficult. There have been
False start. Number 68 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
in 21 home playoff games. Opponents have been flagged for 52 false starts now. That's 44% of all the penalties called in those playoff games.
You want to talk about an advantage? And then, of course, what do you do on 4th down? You get a false start. You're thinking about going for it for the end zone. You end up kicking a field goal in a 41-3. In a 41-3 football game.
Onstein from 33 yards out
Kick is good.
He will knock it through.
In the third quarter,
And the all-time record holder
41-6.
for field goals in a season belongs to Trey Honstein. 41-6. Bison out in front.
The NCAA FCS Football Championship, brought to you by KFC. Fill your family's mouth stockings with a $20 fill-up. It's finger-licking good.
Stitch, you'd look good in one of those Bison sweaters, Christmas sweaters.
I don't know, that one looks a little small.
That's what I mean. That's part of it, though. That's part of the look.
Is that how the kids are wearing them these days?
Yeah, no, that's, there you go. That's me. That's more right of my...
Olaf, the Viking? Kierkegaard?
Well, they've had some...
Even Santa prefers? Oh, God.
How about Anish getting some recognition here at the Fargo Dome? The mayor of Fargo, Anish Shroff.
He's at least a city councilman.
I walked into a place and said I was Anish, and they kind of looked at me and shook their head. No,
Probably
no, not you. No,
No.
nice try. We know the mayor, and you're not him.
You're not.
And you're not him. Onstein will kick it away. Williams back to return. He'll take it at the 5. And he'll be dropped at the 25-yard line. Get us a chance to tell you that, oh, loose football. That is scooped up and taken inside the 5-yard line down to the 2. How in the world did that come out of there?
They're going to take
Craig Williams.
Again. Yeah, they'll look at it again. He's clearly down.
Fully on the field as the ball was loose, covered by Sam Houston. Sam Houston's ball, first down.
Yeah, this will be overruled. Don't take another look at this. He's clearly down when the ball came out.
The ruling of a fumble on the previous play is under review.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that
I was really surprised we didn't get a whistle initially because it seemed pretty clear that Williams was down. Williams, of course, forced the fumble earlier on Stewart that was recovered later by Trey Dempsey. There's no doubt that he was down before that ball came out.
should have it right at the 25-yard line. Problem is the clock ran, so they got to get that right.
Yeah, for the fans in attendance here, they've stuck around. There's quite a few. They just want to make sure that they get the ball back.
Clock says 10:03, and he is down about 10:03, so they got that right. They reset the clock.
After review, the returner's elbow hit the ground, right in the ball coming loose. North Dakota State's ball, first down at the 25-yard line.
Well, we were trying to tell you that Saturday on ABC we'll have 2 college football bowl games coming your way. At noon Eastern, it's Grambling, the SWAC champs, taking on the champs out of the MEAC, North Carolina A&T, in the 3rd annual Celebration Bowl from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, GA. Then at 3:30, how about number 25, Boise State, taking on Oregon in the Las Vegas Bowl. Both games available on the ESPN app. Handoff goes to Seth Wilson. It's a sprint. Wilson being chased down. And he'll be out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. Jalen Thomas pushes him out of bounds. He'll spot it at the 15.
It's a similar play to what they've scored on earlier in this game. This time, though, you end up folding the tackle inside instead of a guard. You're able to create an angle right at the point of attack. And once again, Bison able to crease the Bearcat defense from tackle to tackle.
Wilson had 74 yards on the ground last week in the win over Wofford. Now with 127 on 8 carries. He's averaging almost 16 a carry. They'll play fake to Anderson. Stick will throw to the end zone. Wide open. Touchdown. North Dakota State. Ben Ellefson. 17 yards out. And that was way too easy.
I don't know. It took him a couple of plays. Yeah, Bruce Anderson with the one-play drive earlier. So.
Easton Stick with another touchdown pass. His third tonight. 26 now on the year. 48-6 our score. 9:20 to go in the third quarter. Easton Stick. He is putting on a pretty good show, but he's got some runners behind him. This guy, the redshirt, off of Seth Wilson midway through the season, sets up the touchdown pass to Ellefson, his third touchdown reception of the year. Well, if you're going to play in Texas, you better bring your Bison hat, because it looks like this crowd's ready to go.
Somebody yelled Cotton Eye Joe. Hear it?
This is awesome. These folks are ready to go. They lead it 48-6.
Who do you think the fiddle player is for the Bison? So far in this game, who's the fiddle player?
I'm going to say the fiddle player is Bruce Anderson.
Yeah. That Joker can play that fiddle. Easton Stick, not a bad little fiddle player.
Yeah.
Might have a couple of fiddle players.
It's a party inside the Fargo Dome. Everybody smiled except the small crowd that made their way from Sam Houston State. That kick taken by Stewart. And he is out to the 28 and dropped there. Winner of this one heading to Frisco, January 6th. And on the other side, tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern time on ESPNU, James Madison hosting South Dakota State. James Madison, 25 straight victories, defending champs. North Dakota State, no matter who they play, they'll have a little chip on their shoulder, because South Dakota State has beaten them the last 2 years during the regular season. James Madison, of course, came here and knocked them off in the semifinals a year ago.
Well, there's no doubt they'll be motivated given those recent defeats. And as you mentioned, regular season to South Dakota State.
Lewis on that catch. He is pushed out of bounds by Trey Dempsey, and a flag comes out around the 43-yard line.
Number 3, Trey Dempsey. There is a penalty flag on the play.
Holding. Number 15 on the offense, straight in the run. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
That's the kind of night that Sam Houston State's had. You get a big run after catch. Thought you had a good block from Corey Compton. And you see him right there along the boundary. And yeah, whenever you turn a defender's shoulders, those arms start flailing. It's an easy flag to come out.
A spot foul, so it'll be first down and 7 for the Bearcats. Briscoe's throw out here to the near side. That's caught by Davis.
To number 14, Damian Davis. Stopping the play by 42, Jabril Cox.
Sam Houston State came into this game averaging
Brings up 2nd and 3.
45.5 points a game. 552 yards of offense. But they're facing a team that yields just 228, best in the FCS. Nice catch and run as Lewis stays on his feet, gets inside the 40 down to the 35, a 28-yard gain.
Well, this is your surrogate run game. Get the ball out to your playmaker out in space. Allow the receivers to block on the perimeter. And Lewis has demonstrated repeatedly in this game an ability to run after the catch and run through would-be tackles.
Caught around the 10. Stewart will fall inside the 5. They'll spot it at the 2, a 33-yard gain. It'll be first and goal for the Bearcats.
And all of a sudden, the Bearcats look reminiscent of their opening drive. They've stayed this half with 4 wide receivers and just the one back in the backfield.
Batted in the air and caught. Touchdown, Nathan Stewart. Bridges back there in coverage, who batted it in the air. And Stewart hung in there and made the touchdown catch.
Great job by Stewart staying with this throw. Bridges thinks it's over. He gets his hand on that ball. Ball's still in play. Stewart stays with it, keeps his feet in bounds, and for the first time tonight, with the highest scoring offense in all the FCS, the Bearcats are in the end zone.
Point after's up and good. That'll make it a 48-13 ball game. So Briscoe down 23 of 39, 256, a touchdown and 2 picks. And Nathan Stewart, he comes up with his 14th touchdown catch of the year, but a long way to go for the Bearcats.
The NCAA FCS Football Championship, brought to you by Mazda. Driving matters.
Number 4, Dimitri Williams.
Inside the Fargo Dome, where North Dakota State trying to close it out. They lead 48-13, 7:36 to go here in the third quarter. From an offensive standpoint, I don't think it could have gone any better for the Bison right now. 500 yards of offense, 387 of that on the ground. 6 rushes over 30 yards, and they're about to get the football back.
Oof. And if you're defense, you're just sitting there going, you know, look, I wish they'd run the ball more. Well, that's not necessarily going to help us, as explosive as the Bison have been in that element of their offensive attack.
And that'll come out to the 25-yard line.
Touchback. First and 10, North Dakota State.
You know, Easton Stick, the quarterback for this Bison football team, his numbers, you know, aren't staggering when you compare him against Briscoe, but coaches say that he's just one of those guys that has the it factor, doesn't care about the stats. He's all about the wins. You talked about it earlier. He learned from Carson Wentz, was his roommate. Even when he was redshirted, he traveled with the team so he could see how everything works. I mean, he has 8 games this year under 200 yards passing. But he's completing 63% of his passes, and he's just a steadying force for this offense. Seth Wilson. What a run. Finally thrown to the ground at the 32-yard line. That was a tough 6 yards. Josh Price wrestles him to turf.
You know, if you're a run game coordinator, if you're an offensive line coach, that's just a thing of beauty. You're looking at a guy there's really nowhere to go. He just keeps his legs rolling. Your guys up front, they keep pushing. He spins out of the pack, picks up another 3 yards. You look at second, 3? Should have been stopped at the line of scrimmage. What an effort.
Big hole off the left side. Wilson has the first down. Give some credit, though, to the tight end Connor Wentz, the cousin of the other famous Wentz in Fargo.
Elaborate.
Yeah, Connor Wentz is the cousin of Carson Wentz.
Got it. Okay. I was wondering which Wentz you were referencing.
But he had a great block.
I was wondering from whence you were coming on that reference.
Well, it's just power football. You know, one thing that comes to mind is that you don't see a whole lot of teams running this traditional, even though they're in shotgun here, but they run a lot out of the eye. 3 tight end sets, a lot of 2 tight end sets.
It's funny, you look at the notes, and they say that, you describe your offense, another play action, first down, and the description is pro style.
Yeah.
You don't see that ever. And this is a team that, we mentioned Coach Kleiman was a defensive coordinator, and Coach Bowles' staff. We were talking to him about this matchup. He said, I hate the spread, and I hate RPOs. Now, that's a defensive coach talking. It's hard to defend those 2 elements. But you also see his offense reflects that. And there's nothing spread about what they do. And yet they've been incredibly successful with it. It's not surprising. That's where a lot of offenses have evolved to.
5.5 minutes to go here in the third quarter, and here is the I formation. Straight power football. Wilson with the carry, but it leads me to this question. The game's changed a lot. You see so many teams running RPOs, 3-4 wide receiver sets, the spread offense. There aren't a whole lot of teams that defensively see this kind of power football, so it's hard to prepare for it.
It's kind of like Wofford.
Yeah.
It's kind of like seeing some of these teams that are going to run the Kennesaw States, where you're looking at option football. It's unique. It's unique enough to where it's a changeup. The changeup pitch now, and it has been for a while, is regular personnel. You're going to play with 7 big bodies, 4 defensive linemen, and 3 linebackers in this game. That's amazing. Across college football, you typically start the game in nickel personnel and you never come out. 5 DBs.
Wilson stays in bounds, but he'll have it up for the first down. Hunter Brown, the little middle linebacker, his 4th stop today. 5-yard gain for the redshirt freshman Seth Wilson out of Holman, Wisconsin. In week 8, they took the red shirt off of Wilson due to the injuries in the backfield. And they lost another one tonight. Ty Brooks, who was number 2 behind Anderson, out with a shoulder injury.
As you see Wilson over there, he's got his helmet off. Looked like he was wincing a little bit. See him look like he's trying to work something loose in his shoulder. And if you're a Bison fan, you're sitting there paying attention. Brooks is your home run hitter. You hope they're almost protecting him and that it's not a serious injury with that shoulder issue.
Anderson hit by Chris Stewart. Anderson today, 166 yards on the ground.
What's been impressive to me is the lack of negative yardage plays. The ability for North Dakota State to stay on schedule. Pick up positive yards. It hasn't always been pretty. The blocking hasn't always been clean. These aren't always big holes. And yet there's not a single tackle for loss by the Sam Houston State defensive front.
Career high rushing for Anderson, who stands to the right of Easton Stick. He'll get it out in the flat, and there he goes. Goodbye. Touchdown, North Dakota State. What a night for Bruce Anderson. 31 yards on that little swing pass.
I don't think Bruce Anderson knows what it's like to be touched on a touchdown run. He's going to forget after tonight. Watch right tackle Zach Johnson. He's just going to release out. This is a screen pass. Watch him set and get out. Great cut block on the edge. Just enough to get a quick decleater on Darius Moten. And Bruce Anderson's in the end zone again.
Just over 3 minutes to go. And North Dakota State has watched Bruce Anderson help them to a 55-13 advantage. My goodness, 575 yards, and we still have a little over a quarter to go in this game.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it started fast, and it's been piling up ever since. You see some nice inside runs from Anderson. Great blocking on several of them. On these touchdown runs, he's not fighting through arm tackles, even on the catches, unguarded. Kind of picks his way through the defense, showing great patience. He got touched on that one, so there's one. But otherwise, you're seeing a runner who's ripping off long runs, ending up in the end zone. Here's the second touchdown catch off a screen, and he's going in unscathed. Well-designed, well-executed offense.
55 points, a new North Dakota State playoff scoring record. Previous was 52 against New Hampshire back in 2013. Here's the kick. Stewart takes it at the goal line. And some flags come out.
Stewart on the return. Penalty flags on the play. Stop on the play by 38, Jackson Brown.
Hold it during the return. Number 89. Half the distance from his ball, the foul. First down, Sam Houston's ball.
Don't forget, Saturday we'll have a bowl triple header for you here on ESPN at 1 o'clock Eastern. It's the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl with Troy taking on North Texas. Then at 4:30, Marshall battles Colorado State in the Gildan New Mexico Bowl. Then at 8 o'clock, Middle Tennessee and Arkansas State going at it in the Raycom Media Camellia Bowl from Montgomery, Alabama. All three games, you can catch them streaming live on that ESPN app.
Gotta love that app, man. I'm a big fan. I was gonna get it for Christmas, didn't realize it was free. Kids could have gotten it for me. They can afford it.
Little play action into double coverage. That one's incomplete. Looking for Stewart. Boy, early on, North Dakota State had some trouble trying to defend these. We saw some pass interference penalties, some holding penalties, but they've kind of cleaned that up here after about the midway through the first quarter.
Yeah, and you could tell that, early on, obviously the Bearcats were going to try to challenge the Bison, and they were going to see if they could get singled up coverage. They did. And if they weren't completing passes, they got PI calls down the field. Since then, the Bison have done a good job. They've mixed up coverage. They've gotten a couple picks out of zone. But they've also done a good job, safeties rallying to the throws along the boundary rather quickly, as we saw there with Robbie Grimsley coming over.
Quick throw to the wide side of the field, and that one is caught by Davis. Gain of 7 on the play. That'll bring up a third down and about 3. See our next game's up. Of course, tomorrow at 4:30, you get the other semifinal winner to face the winner here, and it appears North Dakota State heading there. And then the D2 championship on ESPN2 at 6 o'clock Eastern. West Florida only in their second season of football playing for a national championship.
Think there's any talent in that state?
No. Lewis making the catch, but he lost a yard, so now it's 4th down. And the Bearcats will punt it away.
They're trying to run a tunnel screen to Jedediah Lewis. He's had a tremendous career. Got more passing or receiving yards rather than any other player in Southland Conference history. With the way this offense is built, I'll be surprised if some of his numbers aren't eclipsed by his teammates, Nathan Stewart and maybe even Davion Davis.
Fair catch called for and taken by Shepard. 33-yard punt. North Dakota State's offense with 575 yards, 416 on the ground. They have a chance to set a rushing record as far as their FCS games go. They put up 498 against Mississippi Valley State earlier this year. And we still have a quarter and change to go. And Anderson back on the field. And you might say, let's give Anderson a break, but they may not have another running back right now.
Exactly. You almost wonder, do they start passing the ball to slow down the offense?
Here's Anderson. P.J. Hall making that tackle. Gain of 3 on the play.
Stop on the play by 92, P.J. Hall.
That's a good point, though, Dave. I mean, you're looking at it. You got your lone healthy running back at this point, at least by all appearances. And Bruce Anderson, who by far has had the most prolific day offensively. Every time he runs into that middle of the defense, you got to hold your breath a little bit, knowing that you certainly want him healthy. Such a big part of what they do offensively. The last thing you would want is yet another injury to that key position.
Shepard goes in motion across the formation. Little play action to Anderson. And that one is out of bounds and incomplete. I'll stop the clock with 51 seconds here in the third quarter. Looking for R.J. Urzendowski.
Throwing out of real estate.
There's Stick right there. When you look at him, 3.96 GPA for Stick in sports management. So we take one more look. Was this? Well, that was real close. You could almost see some of that rubber that's in this turf pop up before he got out of bounds. But it'll be third down. Wide open and dropped by Shepard.
Sticks pass intended for number 20, Darius.
He was too open, and he knew it. The catch was just a formality at that point. I got the first. How many yards can I get after it? And he got a sequence. Secure the ball, then turn upfield. And you see Shepard, he's ready to get that head around, locate a defender. But to say he's wide open is an understatement. I mean, look at this. You think he's got room to run? Absolutely. He knew it.
Well, you said they might have to throw it
to slow down the offense. It worked.
That hits at the 10, and it'll be downed around the 2-yard line. Good special teams. Hendricks down there to make the play for the Bison, a 39-yard punt, and Sam Houston State backed up with 36 seconds to go in the third quarter. They'll actually move it out closer to the 4-yard line. Briscoe today, 25 of 42, 262, touchdown and 2 interceptions. This is a young man that when UAB folded their program, he actually was heavily recruited down at Florida. Matter of fact, a lot of people thought he was going to go there, but he felt like he wanted to be closer to home and just a better fit. So he grew up in the Houston area, and Sam Houston State about 60 miles from Houston.
God, could you imagine? I mean, could have solved some of those quarterback issues down at Florida.
Isn't that the truth? Handoff goes to Bulmer, and he is wrapped up. Just did get out of the end zone. He loses a yard. Caleb Butler, the first one there.
You think about it. Jeremiah Briscoe's probably one of the most well-traveled quarterbacks in an age of transfers. Guys just kind of bounce around if they don't get it. His was more born of calamity. UAB closing out their program. And Sam Houston State trying to get out of the shot of their goalpost here in the fourth quarter in a 42 ball game. No one, I think, anticipated this big of a spread.
That's it for 3 quarters. We'll have the final 15 minutes when we come back to Fargo, North Dakota. Well, to say North Dakota State is a football dynasty would be an understatement. They began their historic run back in 2011, winning 5 straight FCS championships. Now, last season, they lost to James Madison in the FCS Semifinal right here in the Fargo Dome. They were down 17-0, tried to make a comeback, couldn't pull it off. This season, North Dakota State has reached the FCS Semifinals for the 7th consecutive time. There is the empty side of that, where I think last year some folks shocked about what happened here in the semifinals, but at the end of the day, we understood just how good James Madison was. And they haven't lost since. I mean, James Madison has won 25 straight.
And they validated that defeat, didn't they? I mean, to lose to a team that has gone on an epic run.
Briscoe out of the end zone. Pocket collapses. That pass is dropped by the tight end, Henderson.
Caleb Butler got an unbelievable jump on his pass rush. And it was almost a free run at Briscoe. That's his third pressure out of the 5 that Briscoe has endured.
Butler replacing Greg Menard, who was injured in preseason, a 2-time All-American. They were really worried about that position, but Butler's led the way. They've rotated guys in that spot, but it has held up nicely for the Bison. Briscoe back shoulder throw is incomplete.
Briscoe's pass intended for 81. Nathan Stewart is incomplete. Brings up 4th down, and who loves that Bison defense?
This Bison defense, this is the #1 pass defense in the FCS. And you thought, well, maybe it's a function of the offenses that they've seen. Even the coaching staff allowed. They said, look, we've seen tempo offenses. We've seen some teams that try to spread you out. We haven't seen talent like what Sam Houston State will bring, especially at wide receiver. And you can't say enough about what they've been able to do versus those talented receivers.
Well, Shepard slipped. No whistle yet. Finally, there's a whistle.
Number 20, Darius Shepard on the return.
Hey, well, coming up on SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt after the Rockets and Spurs over on ESPN. It'll be behind the scenes with the 76ers. All access all day, ending in a thriller. How Russell Westbrook dominated Philly in triple OT. Plus, how Chris Paul has transformed the Rockets into an unbeatable team. And our NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, with the biggest name on the NBA trade market. Hopefully he'll come to our Hawks. They're struggling in Atlanta right now, by the way, if you hadn't noticed. SportsCenter with SVP on ESPN and the ESPN app.
I haven't noticed. That's how bad they're struggling.
Yeah, that's the problem,
I
right?
thought maybe they hadn't started the season yet, like they had a little moratorium.
Seth Wilson back in the game. That's good news for the Bison fans. He'll get the handoff, and he'll take it inside the 39, close to the 38-yard line. Give him a yard. Justin Johnson with another tackle.
Stop on the play by number 54, Justin Johnson.
You know, this North Dakota State team, a lot to celebrate, of course, hosting this semifinal here tonight in the Fargo Dome. Just across the street at their basketball arena had graduation, their winter graduation, I should say. 14 student athletes on this football team. 12 of them actually dress out. 2 of them were from a past team, but got their diplomas, walked today. What a day that is. Get your degree and then come play in the semifinals, right?
That's a full day's work right there.
Trying to set up a little screen to Wilson. He is hit immediately. Maybe a yard. Freshman Zion McCollum coming up to make the play for the Bearcats.
Zion McCollum, gain of 1 on the play.
You talk about going full circle, right? You complete your education, and then you extend your athletic career all the same day. That's not so bad. We talk about this being a unique place. There's no question. The program that's been built here and the fan base that's behind it, and the factor that it plays, and it's impacted this game. I'm not sure that the outcome would have been any different, but it has been fun to experience.
Oh, and that one's picked off in the middle by P.J. Hall. Look at the big fella run with it. P.J. Hall at 310 pounds, a senior. With his first interception, he's been known for some big tackles behind the line, but this time he just picks it off in midair.
Well, sometimes good pass protection ends up costing you. The Stick's just trying to fit it in here to Seth Wilson, who's centering up over his quarterback, and Easton Stick was the only one that could make that tackle. I think Coach Kleiman would have been okay if P.J. Hall just ran it in for a score. Do not get injured, number 12.
They'll give it to a tight end again, Henderson, who lines up in the backfield, and whistle blew, so the ball's down. 39-yard line, a 3-yard gain.
Stop on the play by 42,
We saw that a little bit opening in the third quarter. That was kind of the adjustment we've seen from the Bearcats, and not just Henderson, a couple of different times where they bring in Corey Avery, but they've stuck with 4 wide receiver sets.
Nobody there trying to find Henderson, who throws his arms up in the air. Just some miscommunication. We've seen that a time or two. Henderson, by the way, you know, you talk about guys getting their diplomas. This is what I love. You were talking about a guy who took advantage of the system. He got his master's degree in sports administration. I mean, he took it all the way to the master's degree in 5 years.
He's a smart dude. I respect the hustle. Get it in where you can fit it in, right? You got 5 years to get it done. Leave with a graduate degree, and won a lot of games in the meantime.
Then proposed to his girlfriend after their South Dakota win.
Oh, wow. That's next level.
Here's Lewis making the catch.
Briscoe's pass complete to number 9. Jedediah Lewis.
Gain of 7 on the play.
Tacklers led by number 3, Trey Dempsey.
That's a smart dude.
Brings up 4th and 1.
You know, you got to kind of dazzle him sometimes. I got my master's degree.
Right.
I'm on the #1 scoring offense, and you don't want to hem me up while I'm still in front of you.
They'll go 3 receivers to the far side.
Number 6.
And they'll have the first down as they go to Avery. Picks up 2.
Tackle on the play to number 6, James Hendricks.
James Hendricks came screaming up there from his safety spot. We've seen him play some linebacker this year as well for the Bison.
Quick throw to the outside, and that is swarmed well by the Bison defense. A loss of 2 on the play. Lewis making the catch.
I can't tell you how impressed I am with Jabril Cox. I mean, he's not a good linebacker for a former quarterback. He's just a good linebacker. And a guy that he's been matched up with Lewis on a number of occasions. He's had help.
Brings up 2nd and 12.
But he's a guy he's gone off. 3 tackles for loss, 11 tackles overall. What a game by the freshman.
Briscoe, little shoulder fake. Hits Davis across the middle, and that'll be good enough for a first down. They'll spot it at the 16. And Cox with another tackle. This one a little bit further down the field. Young man was a starting quarterback in high school, at a pretty good high school in Kansas City. A little shovel pass underneath goes to Avery. He'll pick up 7. But, you know, go back to Cox for a moment. The kind of year he's had, they didn't really know what they were going to get, but they had a couple of injuries at linebacker, threw him out there and realized they got a heck of an athlete. He was a Missouri Valley Freshman of the Year and Newcomer of the Year, and he's a finalist for the Jerry Rice Award, which is for the FCS Freshman of the Year. Boy, some good work on the ground by Avery.
Looks like Avery shaking up at the end of that nice run.
Avery with 3 straight 100-yard games coming into the semifinal, 5 for the year. The senior out of Dallas, Texas, out of Carter High School.
He's got that left calf already wrapped up. I wonder if he didn't re-injure whatever that wrapping is supposed to be addressing. Strained calf, perhaps.
Transferred in from Kansas.
First and goal for the Bearcats at the Bison 3-yard line.
First and goal from the 3. Here's Bulmer trying to bulldoze his way to the goal line, but he is stopped at the 3-yard line. Give him about a half a yard. Nick DeLuca leading the charge for the Bison defensively.
Hasn't been a whole lot of running room in this game, that's for sure. Some of it's owing to the play of number 49. A lot of it, though, the defensive front done a good job controlling the line of scrimmage, winning really with their 4 down, not only in the pass rush, but also when there have been handoffs. They've only been 6-man boxes on a number of occasions. When they went to 4 wide, it's been 5-man boxes, tackle to tackle.
Briscoe throws a little too hot to handle for Lewis. It's incomplete. It'll bring up 3rd and goal from the 3.
You know, one mainstay in this game has been the difficulties that Sam Houston State has experienced once they get in the red zone, especially when they get in the low red zone area. Closer as they get tighter, the field condenses. There's not enough space. Defense doesn't have a cover as much field, and they've had their difficulties on either end.
Casey Keeler and his club had to hold off Kennesaw State in the quarterfinals. Had to stop Kennesaw State on 4th down inside the red zone. And that one is picked off. Bridges will come up with the interception. That'll be his 2nd tonight. They've just had a tough time in the red zone.
They can't get it done. I mean, the 2nd interception, the 3rd time we've seen a pass broken up and or picked. It's been a long night for the Bearcats when they're in scoring position.
What a 55-13. North Dakota State has put on a clinic tonight, but they have done so throughout their home slate this year. In 8 home games, they have won by an average of 34.5 points. And they will bring in Cole Davis, their senior backup quarterback, who been hurt most of this year. And unbeknownst to a lot of teams, there really wasn't a second option at quarterback for most of this year for this North Dakota State team. Easton Stick had to go the distance because Davis has been hurt.
It was interesting, you know, Courtney Messingham was talking about how they had to be a little bit more judicious with Easton Stick. As athletic as he is, they didn't want to run him and get him injured.
10 of 17, 160, 4 touchdown passes for Easton Stick, 27 on the year now, and sporting the cool stash.
On top of everything else. When you got numbers like that, you can rock a stash like that. Very Magnum PI.
Wilson with a stutter step, trying to get to the outside and still on his feet, and boy, he's just hard to get on the ground. And with that rush, North Dakota State has now totaled 432 yards on the ground.
My goodness.
An FCS playoff record for the Bison, and they have played a lot of FCS playoff games. This is their 29th. They're 26-2 coming into tonight in the FCS playoffs.
And I'm pretty sure they ran the ball on all those other ones too. So the idea that you pile up yards like this, that's quite an accomplishment.
They'll go with Wilson again. Hey, don't forget, the FCS champion will be crowned January 6th in Frisco, Texas, just outside of Dallas. They'll be coming your way on ESPN2 at noon. For more information, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. James Madison taking on South Dakota State tomorrow, 4:30 Eastern time, putting their number 1 seed, 25-game win streak on the line against the Jackrabbits. And they'll take on North Dakota State. As the Bison will just try to run this clock out. They continue to give it to the freshman Seth Wilson. Wilson now has carried it 17 times. Last week he had 15 carries for 74 yards. Today 17 for 173.
Everybody's getting in on the fun now. I mean, if you're Lance Dunn, you're sitting over there going, God, is there a chance I can just tape it up and go out there and maybe get some stats myself? Bruce Anderson as well. It's had an unbelievable game to power this rushing offense.
Cole Davis slings it. Pass is complete. That'll be a first down to 48. Urzendowski makes the catch. Well, last year the semifinal did not go quite like it is tonight. For the first time since 2010, the Bison did not reach the championship game. James Madison came in here and built a lead, but then North Dakota State rallied. But down the stretch in the fourth quarter, James Madison outscored the Bison 10-0, and they went on to knock off North Dakota State. You know, you get South Dakota State or James Madison in a championship game, right? So are you more angry that you lost to South Dakota State this year and turned it over 5 times, or are you more angry that you got beat in the semifinals to James Madison, who went on to win the championship? Who do you want? You know?
I think they're willing to accept either one of them. You know, I doubt that this team lacks the motivation. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You talked to Chris Kleiman, and he said one of the things he admires about this team is they're not worried about what happened in the past. And he was seemingly more referencing the successes versus last year's defeat. You know, that you got to earn it every year. This is a new year. It's a new set of players, a different roster. And they appreciate that. He appreciates that in his players. The expectations here are incredibly high.
Anderson picks up 5, and now Anderson's numbers are getting quite gaudy. A career high tonight, 17 for 183. He's averaging 10.8 a carry. Wilson averaging 10.2 per carry. Now Brooks, who got hurt, had 3 carries for 62 yards. So he averages almost 21 per carry.
Yeah, he wins the average, doesn't he? He tapped out just in time. Bruce had a pretty sporty average working there for a little bit, especially with some of those early long runs. So you look back at that South Dakota State game, and 33-21 in the regular season. It was on the road. And in addition to the turnovers was also the run game. Something that the Bison talk about. For them to have success, they want to run the ball about 40 times. And they only failed to achieve that twice this year. And one of those instances was versus South Dakota State. That's such a big part for their ability to stay in this mode of their offense. Run the football, yes. And we've seen some explosive runs. But it's not just to gain yards, but it's also to set up that play-action passing game where they can generate some of the downfield throws and some of the big explosive plays. Because as we mentioned, it's very balanced. 36 explosive runs, 36 explosive passes coming into this game. They need one to be able to do the other.
Wilson breaks a tackle, and he'll get it to the 35. James Madison, defending champs, how have they done it? With great defense. They have a #1 defense in terms of points allowed in the FCS, 10.3 points a game. They've allowed 10 points or less in 8 of their 13 games this year. And if they advance, they'll take on North Dakota State, who has put up huge numbers today. And both those defenses, let's face it, one gives up 11, one gives up 10.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it really is. It comes down to who will have the better day offensively versus some of the best defensive units that you'll find at this level of ball. If, in fact, that's who the matchup ends up being.
Well, tomorrow, South Dakota State will put their offense, which has been certainly high-powered. They've won 7 straight. They've scored 50 or more points in a game 3 times, have the Jackrabbits during that stretch, including 56 points in their quarterfinal win over New Hampshire. I mean, they are loaded, so it's another one of those high-powered offenses versus an outstanding defense. We'll see what happens tomorrow, 4:30 Eastern time over on ESPNU. And the winner will head to Frisco and take on this North Dakota State Bison football team. On 4th and a yard, they keep it on the ground with Wilson, and they'll have the first down, and that will do it for this one. Although this one was done a long time ago.
Yeah. You could almost feel it early in the first quarter. When North Dakota State was able to establish a lead. Sam Houston State, they kicked that field goal, and by the time the Bison went up 14-3, you felt as if, golly, there's a very real chance that this game is over unless we see the Bearcats improve their defensive performance.
Number 30, Seth Wilson, the ball carrier.
Wilson will pick up 3 more yards. So 467 yards on the ground to this point for the Bison. That'll be a little bit shy of their rushing record of 498. But Briscoe had a tough night. But when you look at his career as a whole, it has been dynamic to say the least. 2016 set the FCS TD pass record with 57. Was the Walter Payton Award winner, which goes to the Offensive Player of the Year in the FCS. All told, his career will end tonight, but you know, his numbers will be hard to beat. There is no doubt about it. This year threw for 4,000, almost 5,000 yards at the end of tonight. Finishes with 289. But those 3 interceptions will be a killer.
It was a rough night. There's no question about it, but a tremendous career for the quarterback out of Sam Houston State.
Number 30, Seth Wilson, the ball carrier.
He has 9 career 400-yard passing games, 24 300-yard passing games, 4 games with 6 touchdown passes. Just an amazing run for Briscoe, the senior out of Houston, Texas. But speaking of amazing, Chris Kleiman had his guys ready to roll tonight. And guess what? Your boys are heading back to Frisco.
And in dominant fashion. The Bison have plowed their way through these playoffs.
Wilson will end the game on that carry. And that'll do it. North Dakota State heading to Frisco, Texas as they dominate Sam Houston State 55-13. And they will be gunning for their 6th FCS National Championship in the last 7 years. What a night for the Bison and their fans. 642 yards of offense. We will step aside. Come back to Fargo right after this.